separated so that they can reinvest the gross proceeds of their transaction, of their sales transaction, rather than chopping it all up and giving it away to all these government agencies that don't need it in this moment.
Very well said. Jake shares is a financial advisor and can be part of your dream DST team. Should you choose to hire us to help you out. We also have V. Pierce York. He is out of Newport Beach, and he does commercial real estate as well as luxury sales. Pierce, how are you doing today?
Doing awesome. Extremely pumped. Mine on the way.
Excellent. We also have DJ Carpenter. He's another financial advisor, strategic alliance of ours up in the north west, up in the state of Washington. Jake, how are we doing, sir?
Doing ring. It's windy here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I can warm me up. But let's start with this today. And by the way, what the DST can do, some frequently asked questions, and then some live deals, and then we're going to answer questions. If you have any questions along the way, you can just put it in the chat, and we're happy to dive into those here a little bit later. But otherwise, it's going to be a little bit of a master, if you will. And so today's topic is the art and science of the DST. The art and science of the DST. You know, part of the purpose here at Capital Tax Solutions is we want you to help you envision, build. So envision what? Well, you're going to be envisioning what a plan looks like, what your retirement looks like, when your plan looks like, stress. We also want to help you build, and build is really two things: build the right strategy or strategy, multiple ones, and build the right execute on those strategies to exit planning large capital gain tax. What to be invested in families and communities. And I was watching the art and science of happiness and what it really, and this is just feeling, it's actually more than that. And he went through some of the art and the science of that. And I encourage you to check that TED Talk out. I had that same thought analogy to the DST. And the DST, I put freedom, or another way to put it, I think you can find, right? You can see your 1031 exchange. It's not just about education, and it's not just purpose with how you wealth. You're going to do with the wealth pertains to freedom. Freedom from the 1031 exchange. I don't know how many calls I had this week where people are calling me saying, Brad, it doesn't even for crypto, and I just don't want to be owning active real estate anymore. And I also don't want the inflexible Delaware 1031 where I'm giving up all control, liquidity, and all diversification to a group for 5, 7, or 10 years. I want some freedom from primary sale. We talked with the seller today who has about 50 homes. And part of that is it's really tough to manage multiple homes. It's like, herding cats. They're going all the way versus a big apartment complex. Yet these have high appreciation, a lot of tax here in California. It's about 37% up to 50%. So it was day-to-day financial, day-to-day property tax. It could be anything to do with managing the managers, utility bills. I mean, it's constant, non-stop, okay? And so for them, the 1031 did not work because each individual asset needs Deferred Sales Trust. The big vision was they're going to get freedom to consolidate their capital, and big deals should that come all together, don't have to be active. It could also be freedom from a business sale. A couple of these right now. In fact, 2 weeks ago, it was time business C Corp, and thought they get offered with tax and C Corps, by the way. When you exit, if you don't exit with the DST, it's like an extra whammy. You know, what's that where they like whammy? I forget what it's on a talk show or some kind of like funny. It's like C Corp, you get extra hit with the DST. You get freedom from having to get double hit with the C Corp. Restructure it, defer tax. So for them, and they're so happy. That being said, I want to pause here before I go into flexibility and purpose. I want to bring in Peter Short. Peter, art and science of the freedom aspect of the DST.
Well, I think the freedom aspect is just like a lot of what it does is just reduce stress. You know, it's just you can just not have to go to bed at night thinking like, crap, I got to deal with this, and this tomorrow, right? You sleep better, you know, so it's just, and that's just a good feeling, you know.
Is the biggest, more money, more problems. Sometimes like more business, more real estate assets that are tangible, that can have a roof leak, have a business part. Sounds like, Pierce, you know, you give sleep better. A fair summary.
Yeah. Sleep. Freedom to sleep.
Sleep, baby. Yeah, that's what I like to say. How that freedom to sleep better. As long as you have kids, or even just spending more time with kids. Right? We had a client who sold a $2.5 million property. They had two twin. Came on about 3 weeks ago now, and he shared his entire story, trading the toilets, trash, and liability. Toilets, trash, and termites. Let's say 2 T's, which is twin daughters at 10 years old. It's like, I'm not going to get this time and energy. 4.5 hours. But I imagine it was snowing right now and it's cold in California. By the way, it's happening, right? It's been crazy. He was having over the past, not great, you know, all these things. So he has some freedom from that. He had the ability to be flexible.
What freedoms they've lost, Brett, until they don't actually have to pay that tax. They're accustomed to always having to pay. So like literally people planning stage of, hey, I'm going to sell this multifamily, whatever, and I'm automatically going to be setting aside 33%, you know, 47% or whatever it is, right? They're already gutting themselves, so to speak, in pulling that big chunk of their wealth out and putting it to the side. And they really don't understand what it is to be free until they don't have to do that anymore. Like literally, I mean, think about our Bitcoin client way back when. Think about some of our other clients where they were able to do things they never planned on doing, and they did it all with the money they would have otherwise paid taxes with. Like until people feel that or have that experience, it's almost like they don't know what freedom really is.
It's so well said, right? Especially given the crypto and this the disaster. People could have gone out and not in capital gains tax and get diversified the signs of DST, which is flexibility. And he got confused with Delaware trust. Pierce, because of the statutory trust, I flexible or freeing for a client before I did the flexibility of the DST.
So it's essentially a 1031 into a REIT. It can be good, and there are times when we will use it, especially if there's it's known as a mortgage over basis or debt over basis. Solves that problem really, really well. Some of the pros and cons about it are the pros are time box money. It's pretty hands off. They're Class A properties that someone else is managing, and I mean it's kind of like you put your money into a fund and you're an LP in that position, and they basically you drawbacks though are liquid. You're stuck in that deal for years or whenever they decide to, liquidate. You really don't have any control over what's going on. It's kind of just like they're making decisions and you get what you get. And
yeah, you said it really well. And I think that's interesting, right? It's a 10-1, and maybe the 10-31 proponents would say maintain unit control. But as soon as you go 10-31 up to somebody else, right? By the way, there's a thing of DC, Deferred Sales Trust, actually the Delaware, and one of them is not value. This is one of the one components of the with the flex properties at a time that it makes sense. Really deals opportunities to add goes down to dollar cost and buy deals at optimal timing. Part of the downsides of the Delaware is you get trapped in basically a static. By the way, fees are high, maybe higher, 14 to see. So every dollar you're putting, about 85 cents is actually hitting a lot of people in between. Expensive, secure, big commissions. So be aware of that. But yeah, you're right. They do have which is a basis so that those are in a 1031 eligible property that are selling. We can replace the debt and what's called high zero fund. I mean the LT and the debt becomes name, the Delaware Statutory Trust, or who's running that to replace that and go into Deferred Sales Trust. If you're curious about that, you can look up on the channel. It's the Run Search Against Tax channel, and it's his journey in Colorado and Delaware and a partial deferred. Now, Jake, talk about the diversification when it comes to planning as sort of planner that you are. Talk about this, the ability to diversified and in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Even feels right now pretty good.
I'll explain why your question is before with the volatility in the normal markets that everybody's accustomed in, market, whether it be the stock or have you, people are realizing, if they're not already well diversified, that they should be. They're realizing it because there's a large portion of their net worth shift move. And sometimes they sell and they to be diversified, a big shift or movement in their entire net. It has moved in the last 2 years, possibly. What that means is certain markets move up and down, it doesn't affect the entire net. And that's important because there may come a emergency, retirement, other events, need large network movements, access large portion of your net worth. Stories, happy stories, financial tools, instruments that are to move into asset classes like the Deferred Sales Trust does. Out of class, I mean, real estate, into out of crypto, into real estate, things of that nature. Now, having the tax side so that you can more and have the liquidity you need at the point you need it, selling when.
Beauty of the sales trust and the advance of flexibility to not only sell any asset of any kind and defer the capital gains tax, flexibility to diversify into different asset classes, the flexibility is high and low, hopefully sell high. The ability to grow over time based upon what makes sense for you to access the capital, especially liquidity. So hard, like a business. help more people in the future when it goes higher. Right now, you might gain. All this will walk you is the first have the flexibility to be retired or an entrepreneur, right? You might to venture like multifamily units, ground up multifamily development business. Another client, they we recently sold a 29 in Texas, of 2 sales, and him was actually from real estate, but also keeping cash. So it's waiting. It's kind of being patient with the money, and that's the Deferred Sales Trust. So that's the flexibility. Let's move right. We've covered the flexibility for the art and so let's cover the purpose. What do we mean by purpose? Well, some people purpose for your wealth. We have clients that give a lot of it away or give portions of it. They have to do a partial donor advice fund or partial even Deferred Sales Trust. You might want to have flexibility to have Deferred Sales Trust pay a charity of their choice after a certain period of time, in their living trust. Sideways, and with some leadership, they go sideways. You want flexibility for the family. The thing with the Deferred Sales Trust is there's no charity required, but you circle in with a certain period of time. It's very flexible, which is really nice. Also, it could just be your time and your energy and your purpose for your retirement. Is one of the ways clients. It's my 4th quarter now. In this quarter, it's about time and energy with the family. It's about purpose building and making sure I'm on the. That could be the purpose. Another who wanted to start like a leadership retreat, and he wanted money for leaders, and that was it. So, what is your purpose? And how does the DST unlock that besides just a tax, just being able to sell your assets, build some wealth? You're weaving in purpose. So the art and science of the DST are those 3 things. I want to bring on DJ Carpenter. So if he has any thoughts on what I just said, what do you think about freedom, flexibility, and purpose of the DST?
It brings a lot of options that people realize they had. So to a certain extent, I have to coach them in being able to understand that they never thought were achievable are now possibilities because more the ability to address potential income. So thinking when they want to pay capital gains tax, if they want to pull out so especially if taxes, in a favorable direction, I will, but at least that works with this strategy. One exchange and the traditional types of strategies that kind of keep you in a box.
Yep. So it sounds like the flexibility and freedom helps to unlock you out of maybe the box that you might be in with whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And that's also part of what it takes a team, right? It takes a team to help weave inside with your team to bring it. We have the financial advisors, both Jakes here, state professionals, and Pierce and myself, as well as trustee is our role. An approach, and time is the people who help you the same team to take you where you want to go. Right? the new tax exit strategy, because the old strategies weren't working or worked for a while, but now you're trying to go somewhere else. And that's where the box becomes, the new norm. I can't move out of the primary. Wait, I can't tax. Really partnership. I really can exit that. Highly appreciate Miller working on a multi-million-dollar Apple stock position. We want to help you unlock the freedoms, the flexibility, and hopefully help you to get the purpose that you're trying to achieve. And so we can be that guy. Pierce, you want to add anything else to that before we open it up for questions in the deal? Okay, cool. So part of the mission of capital gains tax wealth partners through the relentless transformational capital gains and state tax solution. So that's like the big mission that we're going to call, and our goal is to just unlock what's possible, right? Possible. And so let me think the one that we couldn't go through today. Let's see here. What is be a good one to go over today? We did Warren week before last. Jake and I were doing he's selling his second home in. He's actually a fine advisor himself. Investing in building some wealth. Miller, this is his second transaction. Not huge deals, but it's part of building his wealth, part of his diversification. So what are your thoughts on that particular organ sale that's happening right now?
Here's an interesting thing, right? Everybody is in the business of making money, business. They have that thing they do really, really well. In this scenario, this financial as an asset that he's selling. And he, just like many other people, would like to diversify. He already has different projects he wants to invest. Companies put up and pay taxes. We have liberated based on him to invest in these other startup companies as well as the other projects. And we've done it because of itself. More to speak. And that's why we have this dream team of everybody around us, including the companies, have stepped in a very to kind of help this deal more complicated than I would say most people's.
Very well said. And I think point two, Pierce, he came out of real estate and he's going into a tech business. So we're unlocking the entrepreneurial freedom. Is that right, Pierce?
That's one of the huge benefits. You don't have to go right back into real estate. You're stuck if you're single. So, I mean, you couldn't even.
Right.
So you solved problems. And you gave them the thought and do what you want them.
Exactly. Right. Which purpose for his, for the part of his career to be a little bit, he wants, and can be your silent dream to help you pursue for your career, for be this way to use the Deferred Sales Trust. That being said, I want to open in attendance. Thoughts, questions, pitches of
be a Saturday morning on the replay. But
Yeah.
the one thing I do bring up, yeah, I'm a stock actually bring it to you guys. And I've got some now. I'm allocated pretty soon. Probably third quarter of this year. So we'll definitely get started sooner rather than later on that. I just want to make sure you promised to me. So
Say, sorry, Jim. I say, not I'm talking companies.
True. And we had brought this up one time before, and I always remember the Texas. So that's the back of my mind. So it is a now they're kind of relaunching it. I'm going to screw this up, but they were going to do a super 10K and but yeah, so that's schedule, and you just gotta get it on routines. That's kind of the best way. So that's something I'm looking forward to doing there. But just touching on some of the topics that you guys have brought up, I almost look at this the DST. In my case, obviously stock, but I'm also looking at different businesses to acquire. And even in a rising rate environment, everybody's expecting a dip, valuations on homes, businesses, everything else. And I think this is almost like a turnkey solution for those individuals, because you actually have the ability to buy the dip. And if you were to get a $3 or $4 million property and expect to pay $1 million, $1.3 million in capital gains, you can basically, bring them into the Deferred Sales Trust and then offer that discount, let them buy the discount, but you're still walking away with more money than you normally would have if you had to pay those capital gains up front. And I think that's kind of an interesting key for this, is that there's a couple of people I've been talking to. One is a $3 million business in the healthcare space, and they'd be originally looking at, $1 million that they'd be kicking out, I'm sure, or if not more, and then walking away with hopefully two. But if they went and sold it for 2.2, 2.3, I mean, they're giving that buyer the opportunity to buy that dip on a $700,000 discount, but still walk away with a few $100,000 more than they normally would have if they had to pay the capital gain. So I feel like in a challenging environment in business acquisitions and things like that, it does get people off the sidelines and make that move to acquire a business if they're shown this opportunity and this tool.
Jim, you said it so well. It sounds like what you're saying is you have an opportunity to unlock to buy the dip. In other words, to make this a wealth building machine, or the way that Jake Mel likes to put it, a cornerstone financial, tax, and wealth part of your plan. And that's the cool part when you start to understand how to make this an investment and not an expense. It's not just like a 401k or just like an IRA or just like a 1031. It becomes that cornerstone way for not only to defer that capital gains tax and exit well, but then be able to buy at optimal timing, which we believe is one of the single best ways to build, which is time, right? And so add to that, Jim, or any other thoughts or questions?
I mean, they always say, is made when there's blood in the streets, and then there's a lot of people right now that want to make that move. They want to sell that business, that stock, whatever, to take advantage of some upcoming opportunities 12, 14, 18 months down the line. And so I think this is a nice way to, create that win-win scenario for both sides, to, take advantage of that right away, get the people engaged, pull that business into the Deferred Sales Trust, and then both parties win on that. And then they can, have that money, like you said, warehoused, allocated, that they can shoot that out when and if an opportunity pops up. They're not beholden to these timelines that we're, so used to being ingrained into our brain. So I think it's an interesting play. We always look at it in an economic boom, but when you have a contraction in the economy, this does have value to it, and I think it really can unleash that productive potential of it.
Yeah, very, very well said. I want to invite Eric in. I see Eric got his own video. Eric, any thoughts or questions for us or comments?
Yeah, so I've only worked on one transaction with you guys in the past, and we have another client that is thinking about selling a business for about 4.1, and they had were expert or any of that, but they're actively being basically seeing the assets that are being on there.
Let's jump on that, and then we'll Jake tally up on that one. Jake Miller, go ahead, Pierce. What do you think?
So one of our favorite people, that we do the financial advising part on up here too, big time in the leaf. So we a team of financial advisors, we have that we like to that know the DST, that utilize the DST, and so forth. And a lot of it depends on their risk tolerance, right? What they're trying to do. And that's going to change the way that we structure the notes and all that kind of stuff. If you have somebody who's super conservative, they're elderly, right? And they're just looking to protect the downside. It might be a much lower return with a much less risk, right? Versus someone who's entrepreneurial, who's like, hey, I'm still trying to get after it, and I'm gonna go for the startup, and I'm not gonna raise any equity, right? And that's that. It's a change. The key is that we want to get everybody on the same call to talk about every goals, what they're trying to do, involve what their extra of their entire financial plan, like with that their tax, whole X-ray that you got to take that requires not just us, but the rest of their people to communicate with people, so that we can come together with the most efficient plan and best return based upon what they're trying to do and what.
Well, Eric, first and foremost, hi. I mean, it's been a little while.
Right? Yeah.
How's your little piece out there in Utah?
Good. Yeah, we're enjoying it. That's fun.
Very good.
We're still
Investments. And the reason for that is greatly because of the Deferred Sales Trust. Because of the return, all things help achieve what the customer wants and needs. We've been able to go beyond what financial advisors do. If I limit it, maybe a fund family or a custodian or just security life insurance, or there's all these barriers and limits. And with Deferred Sales Trust, a lot of times go out of these real, right? And they can't do that with a 1031. They go out of line and they start about security. Maybe they get all their money. Some invest in a medical company directly, like a private investment. Right? So in an effort to facilitate the needs of people, we've become more of a CFO on the financial side. They're on the accounting and they're on the financial side, and really that's who we've become. We help people with more corporate or trust level work with the transaction for a deferred sales trust. We help make that transition that they're selling, and timing is a key. They may be real estate in the Deferred Sales Trust, and the fact that we're able to save them a lot of money in taxes, they're able to do a little bit more. Always turned out. So, it fell within 31. We can offer save the day if we're on in time. And so literally to your question and what peers that every client we have is what their goals are, objectives and their goals for the money. If their objectives and goals, which this is to find the next so right now, years. How do we make most use of funds that we have until we can take advantage of the next opportunity? And so we help those assets. And we do use marketable securities, just normal financial advisors. But then it might use inventory loans to some manufacturing companies, right? An type that has a short duration. If their plan is in the next 5 years, I want to do X, well, let's get into something for 2 years and see how into 2 years. And then we still have 3 more years before the main objective. But in the meantime, we're making higher return volatility than having everything all your in the stock market. So, and so much more that we can do other than helping people per life insurance and asset, which oftentimes means of different class, but of tax class. And how do you properly unravel at the end of the day? You can walk away with that tax free, right? It's like a long-term we help our clients with. One step into the deferred trust. Now they have this little and you're on the tax side, and we help clients move in and out of assets in a more efficient way. And sometimes that's marketable securities, and sometimes that's 8 to 12%, and sometimes it's something that does more.
Cool. And are there requirements for withdrawing from the trust? Time do you have to? Can you just leave the in there for as long as?
The answer is it.
Answer.
Yeah, it depends. Basically, we're going to structure it. There's always a payment set to come out at some point.
Okay.
So it's like if you bought a home today and you had a loan on a house, and it says you pay interest per month, right? It can refinance it a year from now, right? And now there's a new payment schedule, right? A new amortization set on a new interest rate. Typically, we're not changing really everything. So, but more so changing the payment. Okay, so that is that's between the holder, trustee, and based on the risk tolerance. But generally, it's between 6 and 8%. So here's when he was answering some of those questions. It's to 5% net of fees is the goal. Right? Fees are about 1.5%, 2% per year, no matter the funds. If we're trying to earn 7, we're going to try to earn about 9. Right? If you're 5, our goal is 7. But yeah, that's always set there, and that is they own as the promissory note. Remember, they don't own the trust. If they own the trust, well, they've better. And then asset, the promissory note can be paid, and their kids can continue the tax. But most clients will structure these promissory notes as interest only. Typically, not even full. Let's say it was at 8. Typically, not even the full 8. There's structure, in their income. And then I get with you, Eric, CPA and stuff like that for planning. Great guy, payment, until next year. That's great, excellent. Hey, how are they doing this year? They're actually having a low year. This would be a good year to take some income, right? And we can amend the promissory note. We can change it to accelerate the payments. So definitely some flexibility. Just not something you want to do every month or twice. Change. You start taking something you can just delay forever. We like to see within about 2 years taking some payments. Answer the question, Eric?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Love it.
All right.
Remind me, Eric, really, just to get a little bit.
Professionals.
Okay. So that's a for 1031 and these other strategies. Normally people this is something that has almost no basis typically. What's did you say 4 million, something like that?
Yeah, right now Y is, well, the purchase price is 4.1% seller financing that they're going to receive over the next years, and then it's like the ever cash.
Big deposit, and then the other 10 possibly even based on our formula performance. And okay, well, Festic did on with the current as like a manager.
Clean.
Walk away, clean.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time, probably a lot of interest in doing other things, money to reinvest.
Right,
Which
exactly.
the deferred sales trust allows them to join their partner with the deferred sales trust in these ventures that they might have with a company, or maybe they're ready to do something new. And so freedom to help empower your client to do what they really want to do.
So it's a really cool tool.
Thank you, Eric, for the good questions and encouragement. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts? Anything that was said or anything else before this? All right.
So Darshan has several different logistics companies, trucking companies, and was interested in joining it because he would find this to be a very unique thing. He's in the mode of acquiring other businesses, and they and his.
Excellent. Good. Anybody else? Happy Friday. Hopefully it's your app. I'm going to the Best Ever Conference next week in Chicago. One of the big conferences in the country. Everyone's going to be there. Coming up, Salt Lake City here. DL Capital's going to be there. Ashcroft Capital. So they're really cool. You can only make this up. But Pierce, there's a slight chance he might be going.
Slight chance.
Ooh. There's a chance there. I want to invite everybody to at the end of March. We'll be live in a little portion on the T. I was invited. I do have discounted tickets. $100 plus. It's going to be an amazing event. World-class speakers on general thing, basically how to pass not only this generation but to the next. Speakers. It's going to be incredible. See you there. Do you still work? Can they find you?
Jake Carpenter with Carpenter Capital. You can email me at jake@capital, or you can call at 509-460-8700.
Jim, I don't know if you want people, you kind of
Get on the radar a little bit here. One request for Pierce, I did go to UC Irvine. I lived down in Newport for a long time. And for those of us that like to serve, he's rolling on straight, he's doing his little webinars. If you could just point the finger at the wall, serve them.
from now on.
That's what I'm talking about.
Also, thanks for connecting with good stuff. And if you can touch capital gains taxes, check out the new book coming out. Official new ready. Drum roll, please. Like, give me the evidence that this thing's actually happening. Let me show you. Let me show you. This is, we are like, the 10 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Finally, after about a year, I know, telling everyone it's coming out in 30 days, because my publisher kept having me say, sign up. So this is the, this is it. This final cover and back cover. And so, what do you think?
Can you hear the golf clap?
Amazon, and it's the proven playbook for unlocking your ideal wealth plan when selling assets of any kind for yourself or your clients. Check it out. We have the Jake Miller in the book. We have the Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book. I have a couple chapters and some other really smart people. So that is coming near you, and it'll help you at all building more.